Here we go. We're going to record, and we're recording now. Again, thank you all for joining us in the Virginia Beach Task Force on Aging on this wonderful Thursday, the 13th of May morning at 9:06. And we have a few more people still trying to join in. This is the Virginia Beach Task Force. We serve as seniors and those in the community that assist our seniors. And we service the Virginia Beach area. And again, we want to thank all of you for coming back and returning. And those of you that we haven't seen in a while, thank you for coming back and joining us this morning. We have a lot to cover today. It's going to be a great discussion. I am the chair of the Virginia Beach Task Force. And then we have Allison, who's our vice chair, but she was unable to make it this morning. We have Heather Starr-Crest, who's our secretary. We have Katrina Parker, who's our treasurer. We have Pete Turner, who's our membership, who is not here this morning. Brandy Smith, who oversees our charitable funds. So we do have, FYI, and a quick side note, we do have funds to give to charities. So please make sure you send your applications in, and Brandy will be reviewing them and submitting it to the board, and we will make a vote on it. And then publicity and website is Carrie Riley, who also is not able to join us this morning. So without further ado, I am going to be introducing our wonderful guest speaker today. She is somebody that's been in the industry for a long time, and I don't know if I really need to read your bio, but if you really want me to, I can. So
no,
we have
you
with
don't
us,
need to do
huh?
You don't need to do that.
Okay, I'll let you take it away then, Sondra, because you are very, very well known in this area. So please feel free to share with us more than a funeral home. I will now shut up.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing fine. In case you put some chats out there, you can say, Sondra killed it, okay? Just make sure. And someone told me that yesterday when I was doing a service and I walked out and they go, you killed it. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm glad this man died of natural causes. But I am Sondra Holmes. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator and the Funeral Celebrant for the Dignity Memorial Funeral Homes in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Suffolk, and also help around on the peninsula and Richmond if necessary. And I am also the funeral celebrant, meaning that I meet with families, and when they don't have a minister or really don't want a traditional funeral, they call me and I create the story of their life and deliver it for their eulogy. And I sometimes kill it, okay? I have been in the Hampton Roads area all my life, been in banking for 25 years and left banking and came over to the funeral cemetery side for about 17 years. So I've been around for a long time. What I want to do is talk a little bit today about more than a funeral. And everyone, in case they have not heard, that there are funds available from FEMA for funeral assistance. It is the COVID-19 Funeral Assistance Plan, and it is available to families who have had loved ones who died of COVID, and they have had funeral, cemetery, or cremation expenses. FEMA is reimbursing folks up to $9,000. Per person and up to $35,000 per household, because we do unfortunately know that we have had more than one person pass away from COVID. FEMA will not call you and say, hey, I need your information. So if you have seniors, have loved ones that you have heard about, FEMA will not call. You have to contact FEMA, and they can go out to FEMA.gov for all the information. There are 800 numbers. They just need a death certificate saying that their person died of COVID, whether it was first, second, third, cause of death. And they need the funeral home, cemetery, crematory expenses showing that these expenses were for this particular person and that they would have been paid for. So this is a great resource for families, because seeing firsthand families having to come in and take out large sums of money that they did not just have readily sitting there for funeral expenses. So encourage people to do that. Anyone who died from January 20th, 2020 will be eligible for this. So it's great. FEMA.gov. Go out and take advantage. So today, I kind of want to talk a little bit because funeral homes are changing. We have learned technology. Believe me, I have some 80, 90-year-old folks that are now using Zoom, using DocuSign, using WebEx. They have learned to use their computers that they never thought they would ever use for the reasons other than looking on Facebook or getting an email. So we have had to be creative. We have been just like everyone else in the industries, having to go back and see how can we do something different. So more than a funeral, we are now Zooming our funerals. So families that are even just next door and can't come in, families that are across the country can't come in, we are making sure that they can see it either through a Zoom or through Facebook Live. And I go out and check every day to see how many people are on and where they're coming from. And honestly, we have people all over the world that are logging in, looking at funeral services on Facebook Live. And we're still working out some kinks with it. So obviously we're going to have sometimes audio is not quite right, or someone will do something crazy in the middle of a service, but we're trying to control that. One of the things that we have started doing back again is we are now going back out and doing some workshops and seminars, because families don't always know what the easiest way to contact us. They know that a death has occurred. They're either going to go out to a neighbor, call a friend, go on Google to try to find a funeral home. So we go out into the communities and tell them why it is so important that they start that conversation even before someone gets sick, especially while everybody's still healthy and can determine what they really want. You know, we looked at Prince Philip's service on TV, a few weeks ago, and it was amazing how smoothly it ran, that it wasn't a lot of pomp and circumstance that we normally see in, high profile services, but it was beautiful. It was lovely. The Queen, the Prince planned it. They talked about it. They could not just come around and say, okay, I want this truck suited just this way. This was something that had been in the plans. Did he know he was going to die before he hit 100? No. Did he know that COVID was going to be out here and we couldn't all come in thousands and stand and see? No. But he planned that, and it was a conversation. So we want to start having conversations with everybody. This can be while you're having a cookout in the yard. This can be while you're on a telephone, while you're on Zoom with your families. Sit and have a conversation with them. And then we have resources that they can get to that they don't have to come into our building. They just go out to dignitymemorial.com and look for pre-planning resources. We can give them personal planning guides. We can give them 5 wishes. 5 wishes is our medical directive that we really endorse, because we want people to plan everything. And then once they have started completing those, then they can ask that we come in and start having consultations with them. There's no cost for it. We'll come out and sit with them, or they can come into our office, or again, we can do it through Zoom, or we can do it through WebEx. That way, everyone can sit together, listen together, and get all of that information. The better way to do everything is to pre-plan that and prepay it. So pre-planning means you have all the details out there. You know exactly what you want. Prepaying means you lock it in. We put a payment plan that is suitable to your budget, so it doesn't have to come out of your pocket all at one time, and you're locked into prices. I always tell people it's like buying the Mercedes Benz, in 2021 and not wanting to use it or pick it up until 2031. You're going to get the 2031 at that same price. Well, if we could do that with Mercedes-Benz, I would go buy mine today. However, we can't do that, but you can do it with your funeral services. And it has saved people thousands and thousands of dollars. When I sit with families and they say, I remember mom sitting around the table with someone saying that this is what they're getting ready to do. And we wonder, is mom and dad getting ready to die? What's going on? But mom and dad put us through college, and 20, 30, 40 years later, now we're using it. So that is prepaying and pre-planning the funeral services. Now, some of the other things that we do, we like to get out in the community. So, like Micah and everybody else, we like to go out and talk to people. So I go out and talk to folks about smart and safe living for seniors, including with that is sun safety, because we're going to start getting, summertime, 80, 90 degrees, what you should do when you go out. We talk a little bit about out and about. We're getting back out into the world again, and we get relaxed. We forget what we do when we're supposed to go to the ATM, how to be safe. Ladies, I've seen too many purses in the shopping carts that people just walk away and the purse is sitting there, and I'm standing there watching it going, okay, I'm watching everybody's purse. They probably think I'm trying to steal it, but I am so self-conscious when I see someone leave their purse or put their telephone or their wallet in the shopping cart. So we remind seniors that can't be done. They have to put it on them, keep it on them. Don't make it so heavy that you can't, that you don't want to put it all across your shoulder. We also remind people that they need to be careful when they're driving. We've seen a lot of things with safety on the road. We remind them that don't stop for folks that look like they're broken down. Keep going. Don't stop. It's okay. It could be a setup. You could be in danger. So we remind them of those things. Families that are still in their homes, we have fire safety, making sure that their home is equipped with smoke detectors, that they don't have all the cords running under rugs and around corners and, making trip hazards if nothing else. Reminding them of carpet, those cute little runners that we have, your feet get caught into them. I slipped down my steps, running down the steps, which I shouldn't do, and broke my foot. So I was the first one to go, this was really stupid. You can't run down steps because those last three can be a doozy. So we remind families of that. We go out and talk about veterans burial benefits because many people don't know what they're entitled to. Many folks got out of the service or the Korean War and Vietnam, and they heard they have benefits. So we let them know that, yes, you do have burial benefits in a state or national cemetery if you have the right documentation. However, unless you were killed in the line of duty or you died in a VA facility, they will not cover those funeral home expenses. So the funeral still has to be paid for. So those are some of the things that we do to remind people what's out here. We also talk a little bit about our LIFT program that is for our widows and widowers so they can get together, because so often that they have been that third wheel in someone's lunch table, and it's not always pleasant. So we will be getting together again, hopefully in the summer, to have a socially distanced LIFT program again. We put that on hold because of COVID, but we are looking to do that again. So, but we are here available. You can look us up, dignitymemorial.com, or you can go out to our Rosewood Kellum, Woodlawn, Princess Anne Memorial Park, Meadowbrook Memorial Gardens on those websites and find all types of helpful information to help everybody to pre-plan, to talk about it, to have that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sondra. As always, very informative. Did anybody have any questions for Miss Sondra while we're right here? Lucy, I see you came unmuted.
I do. So Sondra, I don't know much about how much this would cost. So are we talking like, I know different, you're going to decide what you're going to do, if you're going to be cremated or buried or whatever. Everybody has their own options. But are we talking from like minimum $1,000 to like $500,000? Or is it more, what's more the minimum?
So the minimum is hard to really say. So we really don't have a minimum. It depends on what you want, So we'll sit down and talk with you. But I always tell people the most expensive funeral and cemetery arrangements has not even been designed yet. Okay, because it is up to you. If you want the grand piano mausoleum, we will make sure that we have it built for you. So minimum, you're looking at probably $1,000, depending on what you want. But people can have a full funeral for cremation. And, people always say cremation is the cheapest. I'm going, with a cremation. Not necessarily, because some people will have everything except that final disposition. Rather than going to a cemetery, we'll be going to our crematory. So we will sit down with you, talk to you about what you would like, and you help design that packet. You're going to help, and then we're going to help you fit it into your budget.
Thank you.
Sondra, you've been doing this for a couple of years, so you know the trends. Are you noticing, what kind of changes are you noticing in the family dynamics where many of them didn't have a chance to go through the death process because of COVID restrictions? Are you seeing a negative impact on the family dynamics?
It is, because people all of a sudden got sick. So even though mom was 70, 80, 90 years old, she was healthy, running around, doing everything. And all of a sudden she got sick and she died. Now we have siblings that are on the West Coast, siblings that are on the East Coast, siblings that are out of the country, and they don't know what to do for mom. And one is saying, cremate her. The other one said, no, mom never wanted cremation. She wanted to be beside dad out here. What do we do? So it does cause a lot of confusion, a lot of ruckus in a family. And we are sometimes those peacemakers. So we have to sit and talk about it, and talk about it several times to get them to come to some type of understanding. And that is where, if you don't want to pay for those arrangements, at least have it written down in our personal planning guide, put it somewhere that's convenient. Let families know, let your family know, let that trusted advisor you have know what you have and what you want. So it does cause confusion in a family.
And go ahead, Brad. Go ahead, Brad.
My question is about prepaying for a funeral. So a couple of years ago, I had met with a funeral director at a different funeral home. And at the end, once, we'd figured out everything that we want, and this wasn't for me, it was for a relative, I was told that we had to pay the entire amount up front. Is that the same thing that you're talking about, prepaying? So
at the time of death, it does have to be paid for at one time, at front. So before we will have a funeral, before we can do the burial, before we can do the cremation, it has to be paid for, okay? If you are pre-planning and prepaying, then no, that does not have to be paid for. If it's on this funeral home side, then that funeral, because FTC will not allow a funeral home to hold funds, it has to be backed by a trust or an insurance product. So we use American Memorial Insurance. Other people use Homestead. You've probably heard a few other ones out there, but it has to be backed by an insurance or a trust, a bank trust. On the cemetery side, it has to be backed by a trust. So we don't actually keep that money. That money goes in and it goes into also a trust. Now, once we use it, once a product is delivered, then we get to use those funds. So it goes into a trust, we have it, it's set aside. On cemetery side, 10% of everything you buy when you buy a space goes into a perpetual care account. That way we get to use the interest from that. So long after this cemetery is closed or any cemetery is closed, then there's funds available to get someone to come out there and do the maintenance on it, the grass cutting, the trimming, the road improvements, whatever is necessary.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did anybody else have a question? I have one, but I'm going to let everybody else go. Pam. Pam, can you talk, Pam? It says you're. Oh, you were unmuted. Then you muted yourself. Try again. You're muted, Pam. You're still muted.
Try hitting the space bar.
There you go. Okay, now go, Pam.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. What are the guidelines today in reference to COVID as far as the restriction on the number of people that can attend a funeral service?
Okay, so right now, so we have been really in the state of Virginia, we've been fairly lucky because funeral homes, funeral services are considered under that religious service. So we're basically a religious service. So we have had that we could have up to 50% of our capacity of our chapel. So if our chapel seats 100 people, we can have 50 people in there socially distanced. The first 3 rows in our chapel are for family. So if that family is of the same household, they can sit together and don't have to socially distance. Everyone else will have to. If it is a visitation or reception, we were limited at one point to 10 people. We were limited to 25. We're now again at that 50%. We can do up to 100 depending on where the reception, which one of our locations. If it's outside, there is no limit outside. So we're having a graveside service. We ask that they wear masks, and because they are close together, even though it's outside, we do ask people that they wear masks and they can come. We will only put out 6 chairs because the chairs would have to be too close together to get 12 or 16 under a tent. We will provide a tent. Now, some cemeteries are not providing tents or chairs. The state cemetery have their own regulations that they were only allowing 25 people, including the funeral director. So it depends on which cemetery that you're going to. But we will, in our funeral home, have up to 50% capacity. We're still asking everyone if they would wear masks. We have hand sanitizer stations located throughout our chapel, throughout the building. We're meeting families, and we still ask that only 2 or 3 family members come in to make arrangements, where in the past we've seen 10 family members and we just keep pulling in chairs. Well, because we're in an office setting, we can't get that many people into a room. They can go back, we can put them in on Zoom, or we can put them in on WebEx and have them talk with us virtually. And
does that answer your question, Pam? Okay, she gave a thumbs up. Heather Starcrest, I see your hand raised.
Good morning. What is the best resource for somebody to gather information to see if they qualify to be buried in one of our local military cemeteries? I know with my own family, my family wasn't aware, of all the little details of what my grandparents were eligible for. And luckily my mom was able to locate the right information, and they're at beautiful Quantico. But where's a great information for a veteran to find out if they qualify for a burial in a military cemetery, Sondra?
They can go out to the Veterans Administration website, and I believe it's vet. Let's see. So you're asking me something right off the top of my head, right? And I'm supposed to, let's see. If they go out to the Veterans Administration website, and I should have that on the top of my head, but I don't, and they pull up cemeteries, it will tell them what is necessary. For Virginia, they can go out to the veterans cemeteries. So virginia.gov cemeteries, it'll give them the one in Dublin, it'll give them Albert Horton and Suffolk, and they have a website and a phone number that you can call them on. They will tell you that you do need the DD-214s because they're looking to see that that person was honorably discharged, and they will look to see, if they qualify because of where they live, where they were born, different things. So they will have all the qualifications. It is best to pre-register with them. So if there are other factors, then you will know that ahead of time. The folks in Horton are great because we have to contact them quite often when we're looking for something. Same thing with Quantico, or same thing if they're going up to Arlington. Now, we are fairly in Virginia with Quantico and even with Albert Horton. They are pretty much can get you on a schedule. In Arlington, it could be anywhere from 3 months to 6 or 7 months to schedule a service. So if you're looking for something right away, it won't happen in Arlington, but it can happen in Virginia for the state cemeteries. But Veterans Administration, you go on the cemeteries or virginia.gov and pull up state cemeteries, and it gives you all the information, and you can pre-register.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions before we kind of come to a close? And Sondra, some people were asking about your contact info. So if you wouldn't mind chatting that in the chat, if you're able to, just know how to reach you, that'd be great. An email and a number, that'd be awesome. This has been great information. You all will have her contact. So if there's more questions or more you'd like to ask Miss Sondra, please reach out to her via the email, and keep an eye on the chat because she is diligently and carefully writing that out in there. So just keep an eye on that. So thank you, Sondra, again, for your wonderful presentation. And there were some great questions. So I'm glad that there was some engagement and, piquing some people's interest in wanting to learn more. So I'm really grateful for all of our members for participating. Moving right along, I would like to go ahead and start with a treasurer's report from Katrina, if she is available to provide any updates on that.
Yes. Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, super. Well, right now, I think we need the Tidewater Arts Outreach has not been mailed for the 350 that will go out today. There was a little miscommunication there. So that was a donation that we all agreed upon. And we had the last 3 new members, which were Sarah Likens, Christopher Cook, and Charlene Livers. So our balance will be, when I write the check today, for minus the 350 for Tidewater Arts Outreach, will be $1,709.98.
Thank you, Katrina. So as you all can tell, and this is going to go segue right to Brandy, we do have some funds to help Virginia nonprofits, Virginia Beach nonprofits in the area that service our seniors. So Brandy, would you be willing to just give us an update on that process? So if we have any members here that know a nonprofit that serves seniors in Virginia Beach, they can be aware of this. And also keep an eye on the chat. Sondra just chatted her contact info.
Sure. So obviously we have some funds available. If you are aware of a nonprofit that services seniors in Virginia Beach, there is an application available on our website, which is www.vbtfa.org. And there is a charitable gifts section where you can download the application. I also believe it's on our homepage. And then that application gets emailed to me and I will review it and send it to the board. So we typically give anywhere from $200 to $500 for nonprofits, depending on the services provided.
Thank you for that, Brandy. Greatly appreciate it. So keep an eye out. If you know anybody that serves seniors in our community, we'd love to be able to help them and support them, especially during these challenging times. And as far as Pete Turner, I was reminded that keep him in your prayers. His dad had to go through surgery and he's doing well, but you know, he's in the hospital and recovering from, I believe, an open heart surgery or something like that, to that effect. So just keep him in your prayers. We have about 100 paid members total as of right now that I'm aware of. So that's always good that we have that many members, and we're really excited to keep our membership growing and continuing on. So one of the things that, two things that we're going to discuss real briefly, or as briefly as possible, is our updated addendum to our bylaws as regards to the treasurer and secretary. I'm going to share my screen real quick and let you all kind of review this. This is what I took advice of everybody that we discussed this about 2 months ago and kind of was putting things together. So what I've edited is for the officers, the chair and the vice chair shall serve for a term of 2 years and may serve one more term if necessary and approved by a vote from the members. The last discussion we had was there was some discussions that we didn't want the chairs and the positions to be long-term. We didn't want people to be over and over and over doing the term for, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 terms even. So we're trying to limit that depending on the circumstances and if we get voted in, and we have to be voted and agreed upon by the members if we are to serve another term. And the vice chair can be nominated to serve as chair at the end of their 2-year term if voted by the members. So again, there have been circumstances, situations where the vice chair will move into, like, be promoted to the chair role, and we want to be able to allow that opportunity again if voted by and agreed upon by the members. The secretary and treasurer shall serve for a term of 2 years and may serve one more term if necessary and approved by a vote from the members. Again, we brought this up the last time as well, that it's been in years past that the treasurer and secretary serve 1 year. And as the decision for this change was because we would have to re-establish a new secretary and treasurer in about 3 months. And it takes about that long. It takes about a year or almost 9 months. And Heather and Katrina can vouch for this, that before you actually feel comfortable with the role that you're doing. So we were trying to eliminate having to constantly refill that position every year. And then on another question that was brought up was that we're changing the whole board every 2 years and having to re-establish the 4 members. But if you think about it, I was thinking about this today. If we keep it every year, well, every other year we're replacing the whole board anyway. So instead of replacing the board and changing things every year, and then every 2 years we're replacing the whole team regardless, we just keep it to just every 2 years. The team stays together and we're able to establish that relationship and that bond and that synergy, and we can have a proper handoff every 2 years instead of every year something's happening. And again, the secretary and treasurer can be nominated to serve as vice chair or chair at the end of the 2-year term if voted by the members. Again, being promoted if they choose to do so. So that's kind of what I am asking for a vote. I should have done a poll for this, but I didn't. So forgive me for that. I am only human. So I'm going to, I'll give you another 10 seconds to review this, to think it through. And then I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'll hear some questions, some feedback from the members in regards to this proposal. So I will leave it to discussion and go from there. So let me hear what everybody has to say. Don't speak all at once.
This is wonderful, and have a motion to approve.
Mikkel?
I think it's a great idea. I just have one question. Does that mean that you all would assume the role as a team for an additional year, and then we would do an officer installment next year?
So our technical 2-year term ends next year. So we would begin with a committee that's going to be looking for our new team in May or June or April, May of next year for our replacements, if that makes sense. So everything would stay the same. We're just making it, we're taking the treasurers and secretary one more year as a term. So everything, the process will still be the same. We're just eliminating that 1 year, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
It sure does. Thank you.
Okay. Any other feedback or Corey? I see you came unmuted.
So on the optional, the second term, is that considered a 2-year term or is that a 1-year term?
It'd be a 2-year.
Okay.
And the only reason we kind of put that in there because in other task forces they've allowed that because some task forces, they actually were in the middle of COVID when they were about to do a changeover term, and obviously nobody wanted to do that. Take on that responsibility during COVID. So they added that addendum to kind of safeguard that there will be chairs in the role for the next term, just to safeguard and to allow people a chance to kind of adapt and get comfortable and wanting to be nominated to fulfill the role after the pandemic. So that's kind of a safeguard, if you will.
Okay.
Did that make sense? Did that help?
Yes.
Okay. Just trying to cover bases. That's all we're trying to do. Any other comments or discussions for that?
Micah, I have a question.
Rhonda.
Hi there. So are these concurrent terms where everybody votes, we vote for every position every 2 years, or are they staggered?
Every 2 years.
Okay.
And does that include the board?
That includes the chair, my role, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. The website and the other ones are considered committee chairs. So I don't know how they've always just been kind of there. We've never really had they're based on the current chairs of the board. So if Brandy were to come to us and say she wants to be removed, or Carrie Riley has mentioned that she'd like to be stepped aside, then they kind of have that ability to do so. And it's based on the chairs that nominate those roles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. I thought
Yes,
they
sir.
were part of the board as well. So thank you.
And
Yes, sir.
if I may add, Micah, the chair actually can nominate those individuals.
Yes. Yes.
So I think membership is certainly can be included, but you ultimately as chair can appoint those people.
Yes. Thank you, Mikhail, for clarifying. Any other comments or questions? This is great feedback. Yes, Kate.
So the secretary and treasurer and the chair and vice chair are listed separately. So conceivably, the way it's written right now, you could renominate for an additional term 2 of those while the other 2 don't get renominated, right? Like, I mean, that's a possibility that you would like, let's say the chair and vice chair, we want them to stay, but the secretary and treasurer are like, no, we out for whatever reason, then you would actually have half your executive committee roll off if you were in the additional term situation. So if you're actually trying to make sure it all lines up every 2 years regardless, even if everybody, does that make sense?
The way I have it written is the same way. So I believe, anyway, let me do this. Let me share my screen one more time. So the way I have it is the chair and vice chair shall serve for a term of 2 years and may serve one more term if necessary and approved by a vote of members. And then the secretary and treasurer shall serve for a term of 2 years and may serve one more term if necessary and approved by a vote of members. So which part is saying that they're only allowed to serve one?
No, I'm not saying that they're only allowed to serve one, but let's say that the chair and vice chair want to renew, the secretary and treasurer don't, then, or for whatever reason, the secretary and treasurer are unable to, or it needs change, whatever. So you might actually have a situation where you're voting in a new secretary and treasurer while renewing the same chair and vice chair. Is that
Yes.
a possibility under these bylaws? I think
It
that's
is.
a good thing. I think
It
that's a good
is.
thing, like, that you would be able to have that flexibility, but.
It is, and that's where the nominating committee comes in, because what the nominating committee will do is they'll, you know, hopefully, the hope is that they'll find new members, 4 new people the next round. But if they don't, then they're going to come to myself and Heather and us and ask, hey, you know, we haven't been able to find anybody. Are you willing? And then that kind of helps move the conversation to, you know, that process with the nominating committee. So that again will be decided prior to this time. So like May of next year, there'll be a committee going and asking people. So we'll have plenty of time to come up with those answers and to make sure that everything flows smoothly. And we'll have those discussions along the way.
Cool. Well, I second Brandy's motion then if once discussion is over.
Okay, Brandy, you raised your hand, I think, but then you removed it. So I don't know if you had the question or not.
No, it was an accident, but thanks.
Oh. So I have a motion from Brandy to approve the addendum that I have that we have all agreed on, and then I have Kate that seconded. So if there's no further discussion, I'd like to go around my screen and ask for an aye, or if everybody can just wave their hand and heap it up if you approve this, so Heather can count how many people have said have a hand up. So either an emoji or an actual hand up. Please raise your hand if you accept the addendum and the change. Oh, now, oh, okay, Brandy's actually raising her hand in emoji. Okay, so I have my hand up. So raise your hand if you agree to this. I see lots of hands. 2 participants raising their hand. I'm trying to see who. You good, Brand? You good, Heather? Okay, and those that oppose. Awesome. Thank you all. Y'all have been so helpful. This has been awesome. Thank you so much. So that has been done and approved, and I will add those to our bylaws. The last thing before we go around the screen, real quick to have some people share some things, I have a poll that I'd like to offer everybody. We've been in discussion with the Hampton Roads Coalition on Aging, in discussion about public policy. We have a big event coming up in June, and I will quickly share that here in just a moment. But I wanted to get our members' opinions and interest of having a public policy discussion and further advocating for this. So I have a poll that I'd like to share with you all to get your opinion if you would be interested in this, because I'd love to have this option as a part of the Virginia Beach Task Force, and maybe have another committee to kind of help us with this and showcase this and really take advantage of public policy, because it is an important thing, more so now than it has been in the past. So I'm going to launch this to get your opinion. So please, yes or no, are you interested in participating in public policy? Feel free to check yes or no. It really doesn't take too long to answer that. I have 33% that's voted. Getting there. Got 44%.
Micah, could you clarify really what you mean by participate in public policy? Because those of us who work for 501c3s, there are some limitations on what we can do. So what is it that you mean by that?
So, and Bob can probably help elaborate on this as well, because he's been pushing this and being a part of this as well. But having a group within our task force to kind of help advocate with other task forces in our area. There are 6 total of us, and other task forces have started to have a committee that's or working with public policy to work with our delegates, our senators, our mayors, to be an advocate to kind of help assist in policies that are going for seniors, for Medicaid, and the like. So just more of being a voice and trying to get some collaborations together so we can work with all 6 task forces, including ours, to unify our voice for our district in the area. Bob, could you elaborate a little bit more if you could? If you're willing to. If he's still here. Okay, there he is. There he is.
My button didn't work. Micah hit it. I think the idea that we have an ongoing conversation about what are the major issues that are facing our audiences. I know that one of them right now is the Medicaid reimbursement rate and those kinds of things, the job focus, but to really have a good understanding and engage our political leadership in conversation for knowledge. Now, some of us can take, not me, because I'm one of those 501(c)(3)s, but some can also take a more of an active role in influencing. But I think this is a good forum where we can do the whole spectrum of engagement. But the key is to have a conversation year round, not just in January or June.
Truth.
One thing to keep in mind for the 501s, because this is always like a big thing, is you can advocate almost as much as you want for policy decisions. You just can't advocate for partisan things. So you can't raise money for a political party. You can't say, oh, I want you to vote for delegate so-and-so because they're Republican or whatever. Like, those are not allowed. But if you're just advocating for, you know, a particular policy, or if you just want to educate the delegate or the senator, like, hey, if you put this law in place, it sounds like a great idea, but here's the effect it has on my organization, that's perfectly fine. And you will rarely hit the threshold that the IRS would have as far as time spent on political activities that would actually cause a problem. Like, you would have to be spending like every single day of the year, at least an hour a day, in order to hit that part where the IRS would actually be like, what are you doing over there? So, you know, so don't, like, this is like, I'm part of the Association of Fundraising Professionals for Hampton Roads, and we're just finishing our lobby weeks. And, you know, lobby is a bad, I don't know why they use that word. It's advocacy. Don't say the word lobby. But yeah, it's, you know, they answer these questions like every year. It's like, no, you're not going to get a nasty letter from the IRS unless you do crazy things. So, you know, don't be afraid. It's a good thing to do. We should always be advocating for our region and the people that we're serving.
Yeah, Kate, I have a local representative who asked me to endorse them. I said, because I'm a 501(c)(3), I cannot. However, every time I see her, even if it's in a restaurant, she asks me, how's it going with Veteran Affairs? Because she's working on that. So you can still have influence without going over the edge.
Thanks, Bob. Rhonda.
Well, you know, there is a Mayor's Commission on Aging also, and I become a commissioner on that, I think, last fall. So one of the committees that I'm on is community concerns, and of course the other one is housing. And I think that if there is a collaboration of the task forces, it'll give me more information to take to the committee that we can present to the mayor. So I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Rhonda. Brad, did that answer your question a little bit better?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So here's the results. I'm pretty excited about those results. So I'm really, really happy. And stay tuned for more. I will be sending out an email through Heather's help to invite others that weren't able to participate in this meeting to discuss that further and to get people's feedback. If you were one of those that said yes, feel free to reach out to me directly and we can have more conversations in regard to this, because I think this is a very important time, again, more so than ever. And I think with all the things that we're trying to develop in regards to public policy for all the task forces, I think this is a very, very important thing to share. So let me hold on one second. Let me try to get this other document to make sure everybody has seen it, so we can make sure everybody knows about save the date for our joint task force in June, which is next month. Bear with me. I should have had this up and ready, but you know, I'm only human. So where is it? There it is. There it is. Save the date. At the bottom in yellow, Tuesday, June 8th, 8:45 to 10:30. And I will, there'll be a link and everything being sent out this month for that. And we'll be ready to have more of a discussion with this. And it's going to be a really, really great discussion to further on for those of you that were able to join the Hampton Road, the joint task force in January. This is a follow-up to that conversation and what we need to be prepared for. So that's why we're putting together a committee to help advocate this and keep us moving forward. So again, save the date, and I'll be sure that we send that out with our follow-up email as well. So I'm going to go quickly around the screen and move my mouse around. Let me change my view so I can see everybody. And closing my eyes. Mikkel, can you go and give us a 30-second introduction of yourself and where you are? Perfect.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Micah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mikkel Rappaport. I am the founder and owner and senior care consultant for Golden Lifestyle Partners. We specialize in senior living placement and referral services, and also provide senior care consulting services to families who may not be looking for placement at this time, but may be ready down the road. We serve all of Hampton Roads, and I just launched my business in mid-December, so I'm very, very excited and appreciative of everyone's support and encouragement. I've met with several of you one-on-one, so I appreciate all of you and what everyone is doing to serve older adults. So thank you for the time, Micah.
Thank you, Mikkel. Thank you. Miss Angela Whitehead. You're muted, FYI.
Well, good morning, everyone. And it's good to see everyone. It's been a while since I haven't been on one of the calls, but this is really some great information that we gathered today from Miss Sondra Holmes. I learned a lot from her today as well. And I'm founder and CEO of Seniors Unlimited Lifestyles. We're located in Virginia, Chesapeake, but we do have a project in Virginia Beach. We specialize in providing housing and services for seniors and disabled. And we promote the value of our senior citizens in the city of Virginia Beach and the Hampton Roads area. It's good to be here today.
Thank you, Miss Angela. Thank you. And then Miss Sarah Buzzard. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If you're here, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. Miss Sarah Buzzard. I just don't feel right calling you Buzzard, because I just don't want to make sure. I just want to make sure I'm not saying that. If it is, I'll say it gladly. I just don't want to make it sound that way. Are you there? Okay. Well, my next person was Corey.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Corey Sullivan. I am a financial advisor with Eagle Strategies and insurance advisor with New York Life. On the task force, of course, my goal is to be here for Virginia Beach Project Lifesaver. It's all volunteer program. We raise money to help make sure that we, bring loved ones home. Essentially, people who may wander off in the city. We have the largest program in the nation. Usually for searches, there's 1 to 2 searches a month. And again, our goal is to help bring loved ones home. Usually our searches are people who wander off are found in less than 30 minutes if they're on the program. If they're not in the program, it can often take hours and days and hundreds of man hours, resources, and at a great city expense, because the police department's usually the ones that are called out to do those searches. So that's who I'm here with, Virginia Beach Project Lifesaver. Thanks.
Thank you, Corey. And that, ladies and gentlemen, it concludes our meeting with probably 30 or 15 seconds left to end before 10 o'clock. So I know everybody has probably meetings that they're going to be running a little bit behind for, so I apologize. But please continue to do what you do for our seniors in the community. You all are advocates in my heart, and you all do so much for our seniors. So continue doing what you're doing, especially during these challenging times. So as my ending slogan that I always like to end with, stay safe, sane, healthy, and connected. Have a wonderful week, and stay tuned. I love all the waves.
Yeah, for anybody still on, we're still looking for coaches and participants. It's a free program for anybody 60 and older to learn about technology. So it's not anybody who's on here now. It's the people who aren't on here is who we need as participants. And then I also need coaches. So if you know anybody who's interested in teaching or, helping teach the participants, everybody on here could do that. So let me know if anybody's interested.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.